out of Marshall's past. So this is definitely an exhibit everybody needs to come and see. These items, because they're from the early 1800s, will not be on permanent exhibit. Definitely will be something temporary that we'll be doing maybe a month at a time, and then they're going to have to be stored in archival boxes.
What this means is we want to get down to the Honolulu House once a month and visit it.
Yes.
So mom and dad, your kids need to learn something about history, local and others. So this is a great time to come on down.
Right.
Let's talk about...
could I ask a real interject here?
Yeah.
Jen, I'm newer to Marshall, so could you just take about 30 seconds and tell us who Sidney Ketchum was?
Sure.
For those of you that are new to Marshall like I am.
Sure. Sidney Ketchum actually founded Marshall with his brother George in 1830. They traveled here from upstate New York and landed at the mouth of the Kalamazoo River and decided that Marshall would be a great place to call home. And they set up camp and then went back and got their families and brought them back and settled here in 1831.
So it's especially cool to have this information from Marshall's first family.
Very
cool. Thank you.
They would go back to New York and keep talking more and more people to come to Marshall. And the gentleman that built the Honolulu House,
Judge Abner Pratt.
Judge Abner Pratt. I get to play him every year in during
Yes, you do.
during Michigan Week. And he was one of the an early lawyer that was talked in by Sidney Ketchum to come on to town and built a house and set up a practice. And just to imagine someone talking, hundreds of people to come into this little wilderness area and create a town, it's absolutely amazing. And what 1831, and of course, very well established even by 1842, the famous Adam Crosswhite case.
Absolutely.
Which I've always had an interest in. This was a bustling little town of, I'm not sure if we were up to a couple of thousand at that time, or I mean the whole greater area, you know. But there were so many things already going on at that point.
Yes.
And so yeah, definitely, folks, bring your kids on down and get to the Honolulu House once a month. During the summer, these kids need a little bit of education to keep them sharp for school.
Yeah, and we're open until 7 o'clock every Friday night. So
every Friday.
Every Friday.
So and you're open at what time do you open in the morning?
We're open 12 to 5 daily.
12 to 5. And that includes Saturdays.
Yep, Saturdays and Sundays.
Okay. Now you've got a lot of other museums. How are their hours? What's happening with
GAR Hall and Capitol Hill School are usually open by appointment, but this summer we've done something a little bit different. We have 2 full-time staff members on site at the Honolulu House. So if there's ever a time you want to come down and take a look at the military collection, or you want to go up and look at Capitol Hill School, you just need to call the Honolulu House or just stop by and we'll have somebody go up there with you and we'll open up the museums for you.
Oh, very good, very good. So don't be afraid to contact them, and parents, if your kids haven't ever been down there, and I lived in Seattle, never got at the top of the needle. And I still someday have to go back. Of course, I'm heights, that type of heights. But I know so many people in Marshall that haven't been to our museums.
Yes.
And we also have another little secret at the Honolulu House, I think, that you don't have to pay admission for, but I heard last week, a little gift shop. Is that right?
We do. We have a quite an extensive gift shop that we're finding as we're going through the basement of the Honolulu House. We're unearthing a lot of things that used to be in our gift shop that had been tucked away, and we're bringing them back out. So a lot of some Jane Sweeney sketches from the 1970s.
Sure.
We have a lot of those. We have a lot of the antique Brooks Memorial fountain plates that were very, very popular in 1976 when the fountain was rededicated the first time for the bicentennial. And we would love for people to think of us as the first place to stop for a souvenir for Marshall. And you don't have to pay to get into the museum to shop in the gift shop. We would welcome anybody to come in.
Whenever I get to another city, I always look for the souvenirs. When I was in San Francisco, of course, you want the Golden Gate Bridge and a cable car item or something. And I think it's whenever anyone comes to a town, they love to see souvenirs of Marshall to take it. And there's been quite a few over the years, but it's good to see a collection. And that's probably something that we need even more development on is little souvenirs. It's expensive, and then you got to store them for a long time, but that's exciting.
Yeah.
Our other museums, of course, the Magic Museum. You can contact them about getting tours.
Correct.
The Governor's Mansion as well.
Yep, they're open every Sunday.
And that's the DAR runs that one.
Correct.
And people out there, if you haven't ever been to these, you really want to get to them. Right. Are there any others that we want to?
The Postal Museum is an absolute treasure that we have here. And then the Fairgrounds has the Maple Grove Church and the Houston School. Yeah. They're also working on their Fair Museum. They'll have that open home tour weekend. And I know that they are working on getting a more permanent building for their Fair Museum. And then of course we have the Walters Gasoline Museum down at Fountain Automotive.
Yep.
So, and that's an absolute treasure as well. And
of course, visiting almost any of our, all of our antique stores. It's like visiting a museum, and they're just fantastic to walk in these stores, and you almost feel, geez, shouldn't I give you a couple of bucks at the door, you know? Because you go in there and it's you know, you just love it. So, all right, that's good. That's good. What else?
Sneak peek for August?
Yeah.
No, we're not giving a sneak peek for August yet. It's still,
we'll bring you back. We'll bring you back
it's
then.
Still in development, but it'll be another collection of items that'll be brand new to the Historical Society.
All right. I guess I'm going to mention, of course, we always have the great home tour.
Absolutely.
Oh, yes.
But don't forget, on Saturday nights, there is a Civil War ball that's always done right next to the GAR Hall. And Judy and Dan Babcock and I work on that, and of course Dave McKee has been running it for many years, and of course his store is just fantastic, and that's right near his store and the GAR Hall and the little the park there, Carver Park, and we're right out in the street, so there's a wonderful historic recreation of a Civil War ball era event. So lots of things going on.
Yes.
Anything else we want to go over?
Well, I think it'd be a great opportunity. We talked about it just before we brought you on, Jennifer, the Fountain Restoration Project.
Sure.
To publicly acknowledge the work that you and Fief did. It's like, oh, I mean, certainly 4th of July was probably the first real large community gathering after the rededication, and the comments, you must be thrilled to see it.
Yes, that's definitely a point of pride for the gift committee, is to see it done and operating, and I'll take evenings sometimes and just go down and drive around the circle at 10:30 at night, and it's packed. Every bench is filled, and it's standing room only. And
I was there at midnight twice in the last month, and there are people there at midnight with kids. So it's just on behalf of downtown, we thank you and the community.
Welcome.
And so
we couldn't have done it without the community and all the support that we had. It was absolutely a phenomenal experience.
And I have to tell you, I was at a Main Street conference in Calumet, and we were sharing, you know, things that were happening in downtown, and someone made a comment about the fountain, one of the people from the state office. And I said, oh, well, they said, tell us about the auction. We heard there was an auction at Dark Horse, and actually one of the Michigan Main Street persons, Jody Willoughby.
Jody,
yes, Jody. She is the promotions and arts specialist for the state of Michigan, and she bought a piece of the fountain.
Yes,
and so,
she did.
So we all got laughing about it. She said, Steve, her husband, said it's the last time he's going to take her to an auction where there's beer involved. But anyway, she said she's still trying to figure out what she's doing, but she has a piece of historic Marshall. So that was a wonderful idea you had. So it was pretty fun to talk about it way up in Calumet.
That was great.
So.
Yeah, it was a good project.
And again, thank you so much for having, you know, worked on that fountain project. That's just incredible. And thank you for letting us know what's going on with the Historical Society, the Honolulu House, and the other museums around town.
Sure,
so,
thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. We're going to talk about the garden tour. We have Deb here. So, all right, we'll be back in just a few minutes. Hi, and now for our next interview, we have the garden tour coming up, and that's always a wonderful activity going around town, and it brings so many people to town to see what's going on. So we have Deb Lyon here from, and you're heading the
Yes, I'm the committee chairperson.
committee chair of Welcome to My Garden, and that'll start Friday, Saturday.
Saturday, Sunday, 10
Okay.
to 4, rain or shine.
Rain or shine. All right. So, and it might rain, so bring an umbrella.
In 19 years, it's only rained